Hi everyone, we are P16 and we'll be presenting on social isolation and how it affects our health, specifically in the elderly. Before we start, let's take a look at the historical aspect of this issue. Did you know that just a few decades ago, our government was encouraging smaller families? Some of you may have heard of the two-child policy that was introduced during the National Family Planning Campaign back in 1970. However, the significant shift in family structures greatly reduced the number of potential caregivers for the older generation, which is why the baby bonus and other incentives aimed to encourage Singaporeans to have more children are commonly heard of today. Furthermore, with today's rapid urbanization, it creates a bigger gap between generations, resulting in lesser opportunities for interaction, hence giving rise to the increased rates of social isolation, especially among seniors. Let's take a look at some numbers. On the left, we can see how the population of seniors aged 65 and above increased by 7.8% during the last 20 years. And on the right, it shows a steady increase in the population of seniors aged 60 and above worldwide and was projected to increase by slightly less than 10% in 25 years. This shows that the aging population is a global phenomenon which increases aging-related challenges such as social isolation. Next, this graph shows the households of seniors based on their living arrangements and age groups. Based on the two most recent years, we can see that there's an increase of 9,100 seniors who live alone in a household. So, what is social isolation? It means to limit contacts with others and minimize social interaction. It could be due to the loss of a loved one, reduced visiting due to difficulty for the senior to go about on their own, or even feelings of self consciousness and anxiousness, thus resulting in them finding comfort in self isolating. Studies shows that a rise in social isolation increases the risk of certain health conditions such as high blood pressure, anxiety, dementia, etc. The stakeholders involved include the elderly, their families, healthcare workers, volunteers, doctors, which make up a big group of people in our community, thus leading to a higher prevalence of social isolation becoming a social issue in today's society. This led us to our problem statement, increasing trend of social isolation among seniors aged 60 years old and above lead to poor health issues.
We will now discuss about the statistics and trends that we have observed. Let's start off by looking at some international trends that we have observed. A meta-analysis by Ray and others in 2022, 180,000 seniors aged 60 and above across the globe discovered that 1 out of 4 community-dwelling seniors live in social isolation. In the US, analysis of the American Time Youth Survey from 2003 to 2020 found that seniors 55 years and above were consistently spending time in social isolation as compared to all other ages, with seniors above 65 spending a significantly higher time in isolation as compared to those between 55 to 65. Additionally, there has been a significant spike in the amount of time seniors are spending in social isolation from 2017 to 2020. We speculate that this upward trend is likely to continue to spike 2020 onward due to the onset of COVID-19 pandemic lockdown that started in mid-2020, forcing people to live in isolation from their community. Next, let us look at the trend in Sweden. Analysis of the Swedish panel study of living conditions of the oldest old over the past 3 decades, from 1992 to 2021, was conducted. Although the census was focused on seniors aged 77 and above, the analysis revealed similar trends to that of USA. With reference to figure 2 on the left, we can see that seniors that were assessed to have one or more indicators of social isolation had risen from 66.7% in 2014 to 73.9% in 2021, and the proportion of seniors with low social contact with friends and family had risen from 24.4% in 2002 to 44.7% in 2021. With reference to figure 3 on the right, there has been an overall significant increase in social isolation among seniors in Sweden from 2011 onwards, as reflected by the dotted line in the graph. Hence, we can conclude that internationally there is a concern of the rising trend of social isolation among seniors.
Let's take a look of some statistics on seniors living alone in Singapore and how it correlates to the risk of social isolation. On the left, we can see that there's a decreasing trend from 35.5% in 2010 to 34.5% in 2020 of seniors living with their children and spouse. There is also an increasing trend from 8.2% in 2010 to 10.2% in 2020 of seniors living alone, and this structural shift can increase the risk of social isolation. And on the right, It shows the proportion of older adults living alone has been increasing since 2000. Between the year 2000 and 2015, the percentage of Singaporeans aged 65 years old and older living alone grew from 6.6% to 8.9%. And both of these statistics tells us that the seniors are at a higher risk of social isolation. Let us take a look at a study about social disconnection among older adults in Singapore. According to data from Singapore Chinese Health Study, about 17,000 Singaporean Chinese aged 61 to 96 were interviewed. About 6% of them were found to be socially disconnected, and 14.4% of them live alone. This figure highlights that a significant group of older adults may be at risk of social isolation. In the same study, we can also see that men who live alone are about 2 times more likely than women to be socially disconnected, suggesting that older men have a higher risk of social isolation. And older adults who report poor or fair health are about 1.47 times more likely to live alone than those with good or excellent health. This indicates that socially disconnected seniors, especially men living alone, were more likely to show poor health. Now, let us take a look at how social isolation correlates to health. From 2007 to 2023, Singapore has seen persistently high rates of hypertension and high cholesterol among older adults, especially those aged 60 and above. For senior aged 60 to 69, hypertension affected about 38% in 2023, while for those aged 70 to 74, nearly 48% were affected. Similarly, high cholesterol rose sharply from 29% to 39% among 60 to 69 age group and almost doubled from 25% to 51% among those aged 70 to 74. These growing health issues are closely linked to social isolation. Seniors who are isolated often are less likely to engage in physical activity or go for a regular health checkup, and over time, this can increase their risk of chronic conditions such as high blood pressure and cholesterol.
Now, moving forward to the SIF, where we will be touching on the structural and cultural aspect. Firstly, government policies such as housing can influence the increase in elderly staying alone, rising in demand of houses for families, couples with and without children, and singles. The government has proceeded to build more 2, 3, and 4-room HDBs. According to Population Trends 2025, the number of 2 and 3-person households are the highest at above 300,000, whereas households with 5 persons and above are the least at only 160,000 or lower. With lesser new houses that can accommodate multiple generations, this could lead to an increase of 3.6% of seniors aged 65 and above who are staying alone in 2024 as compared to 2014. This also leads to our next point, which is the change in family construction. According to Population Trends 2025, average household size for all types of dwellings is 3.09 in 2024, which is a decline as compared to past years. This indicated that there is a possible decline in extended families, and many are moving from multi generational to nuclear families. Furthermore, many people are working longer hours these days. Some might even be taking on side jobs. This resulted to reduce in time spent with family members, which can cause loneliness and social isolation for seniors, especially for those who stay alone. Rise in economic burden, digitalization of services, and retirement can also impact seniors socially. With inflation rising rapidly, some seniors might not have the abilities to accommodate to the current economy, such as hiring a helper or going to a senior daycare center. As shown by Singapore Department of Statistics, the rise in healthcare costs is the highest at 3.9% increase. Healthcare is a major expenditure for most seniors. Thus, with such increase in healthcare costs, seniors who are less well off might not be able to spend on other activities, which can result in possible isolation. Singapore is also advancing digitally at a fast rate. According to IMD Smart City Index 2024, Singapore rose to the fifth spot, which indicated the rise in digital advancement for the country. As many services are going digital, seniors who struggle with these services can lead to them being excluded due to difficulties in learning and catching up with the new information. Some might find it troublesome and therefore unwilling to learn and stay updated. Retirement also causes a loss in social network if they stop staying in contact with their coworkers while taking time to find new purpose.
Since Singapore is a multiracial country, the government promotes family based elder care as a societal virtue across all races to bind society together, and this can be evident in the existing interventions implemented in Singapore, which Jia Ling will explain later on. These generally revolve around the concept of filial duty to care and respect elderly people in their respective families. Besides a commonly used term by the Chinese filial piety, there is also the Malay culture, which translates to loyalty to parents, obedience, and care. With Singapore's evolving lifestyle, cultural aspects are bound to change as well. Firstly, the rise in individualism has changed the idea of filial piety. It has now become a shared effort between the family, which increases mutual respect for independence and dignity among the elderly people wanting to live alone to reduce the burden on their family members. According to Berhalt's 2023, factors like relationship dissolution, divorce, family dispersion, children going abroad to study, and inconsistent parental visits have influenced the idea of individualism, hence becoming socially acceptable. Secondly, language and educational barrier. With increasing expectations for good academic performances, the young generation has focused to strive well in their education, making it more difficult for elderly, such as with low education background or speaking different mother tongue or dialect, to connect and spend time with them. Lastly, there are trends that associates gender roles and social isolation. Elderly women are more likely to experience social isolation as compared to elderly men. As shown in the right bottom picture, the female life expectancy rate is higher than the male expectancy at age 65 by 3.2%. This source comes from DOS 2022. Hence, this implies that elderly women have longer life expectancy and higher rates of widowhood. Passing on to Jialing.
Singapore has implemented several interventions to manage social isolation among seniors. The first initiative is Community Aging in Place ecosystem that works with residents to co-design senior-friendly infrastructures, such as housing upgrades and care services. Next is Silver Generation Office. They play a vital role by reaching out to seniors, connecting them to services at active aging centers that are normally near their homes, so that they can take part in daily activities and still receive support. Lastly, SingHealth Community Hospital, they have introduced social prescribing, where there are well-being coordinators that work as part of the clinical team to identify seniors at risk of no social support, access to health or security, and link them to community care providers that only rely on medical treatment. While Singapore has made significant effort in helping seniors, international countries have also come out with ideas. First is South Korea. They introduced mind convenience stores in places where residents struggling with loneliness can sit in comfort to enjoy a meal and interact with others. They also run a 24-hour counseling hotline. Second is Belgium. The association I282 Ages came up with a solution to two problems. They match students with elderly people living alone, providing the student with affordable accommodation in exchange for companionship. Lastly, the Dine Out Club implemented in the United States of America. This program is partnered with local restaurants to offer subsidized or community-sponsored meals to seniors. This encourages seniors to leave their house to dine out knowing others will be there and creates a space for social gathering. Hence, with existing interventions in place, some aspects could be further improved to implement into Singapore. As social isolation continues to rise among seniors, its impact on health and well-being is a growing concern. To address this, we came up with some ideas. With some context, in Belgium, students were offered affordable rental in exchange for companionship with the seniors. Adapting this to Singapore's context, we propose a university-based incentivized dormitory scheme, where students in local universities receive discounted accommodation in exchange for volunteering at elderly care centers. The universities will introduce this scheme and have a trial run in 1 to 2 dormitories. Students will then clock hours or tasks with senior citizens through regular visits or activities. These hours will be tracked through a university-partnered log-on system where students can build a portfolio and earn rewards. Some corporate sponsors could be DBS to support the initiative through funds or grants. This is sustainable and encourage intergenerational bonding while combating social isolation. Next is to introduce social prescribing. This was first introduced by SingHealth Community Hospital, where well-being coordinators are in place to identify these seniors at risk of social determinants of health. It acts as a first-line preventive measure by identifying seniors at risk early on and address the issue. This provides a more holistic person-centered care approach. We can start by piloting in selected polyclinics and primary care clinics. With the help of Health Promotion Board, Ministry of Health, and Agency for Integrated Care, they can develop standardized screening tools, educate healthcare professionals, and spread awareness of this model. Lastly, to integrate social prescribing modules in the health and social sciences schools to educate future professionals and implement this new model. Thank you. These are our references.